Arsenal and manager Mikel Arteta have a left-sided central midfield issue, in my opinion, folks. It is a black hole. Now, don't get it twisted. I love the system Mikel Arteta is developing. I love the cogs in the system. I think there's an issue in central midfield. And what if I told you, we had a Santi Cazorla replacement right in front of our eyes? Step forward, Martin Odegaard, the class Sweden, Mikel Arteta's prodigal son, a quality player, in my opinion, with all the facilities to fill that void in the left centre mid channel. Personally, now when you look at last season, obviously he tended to peel to the right hand side with Benjamin White and Bukayo Saka. That saw him score, quite highly for goals and assists and attacking sequences and things of that ilk. People, as we challenged for the Premier League title, he got 15 goals and 7 assists. He ranked 5th for chances created, joint most secondary assists, and all the other metrics that point towards his ability. Goals and assists since August of 2022, which has now changed. He had 24 people. As I said, his heat map tended towards the right-hand side, people. But him being left-footed, could that present an opportunity for us? Now, we tend to line up in a 4-4-2 or ilk of that off the ball, and Mikel Arteta ensures Odegaard leads the press along with all the other players when we start to venture forward, people, as you can see in the graphic being shown. As you know, when we're playing out from the back, at times Benjamin White will overlap or become a centre half. Saka and Cole will join the press. Now, you tend to see Martin Odegaard peel to the right-hand side, as stated, people, where the partnership between him and Saka hasn't quite been there, but historically, Benjamin White, Bukayo Saka, and obviously Martin Odegaard, that was our bread and butter on the right-hand side. Why it has deserted us, I'm not too sure, but that seemed to be the sequence of play, people. And as you saw, Odegaard would get some pre-assists, a couple of assists, chip in with goals, and make those late runs, people. And I think it worked a treat for us. But what if he moved to the left-hand side, where obviously if Raya and Zinchenko and Gabriel and all the other players, when we're playing out from the back, Odegaard could link up with Martinelli. He could spray those lovely passes to wherever his teammates are, such as his passing quality. As Zinchenko ventures into midfield, obviously Martin Odegaard could pull further forward, and then you've got Martinelli and the chance to have a link-up play there and things of that ilk. I genuinely think there's an angle there, really. And obviously he'd be on his stronger side, him being a left footer. Now, it would probably rob Mikel Arteta of what he's put in place on the right-hand side and maybe what we're installing or have installed in terms of creativity. But I don't think you'd rob Odegaard per se, people. He'd still be able to make those late runs, still be able to link up play. And I think we're missing a treat, in my opinion, if I'm completely honest with you. Now, when you look at the statistics courtesy of F Brief and stuff like that, again, green means good, red means bad. Odegaard scores quite highly, showing he has the facilities to do such. Now, naturally, defensively, he isn't going to score the highest because he's not a defender. I personally think we're not creating enough chances. We're 14th for big chances created. However, when you look at expected goals at the time of bringing this information, or, what we've done last season versus this season, we're doing okay. Now, people, I genuinely think Santi Cazorla could be reincarnated with the introduction of Odegaard. Of course, they're two very different players, but I do think Odegaard has the facilities to pull into that left-hand channel. The first issue would be, obviously, who plays in the 10. Smith Rowe could play there. Will Arteta do that? And will Smith Rowe be able to consistently perform? The same goes for Kai Havertz, who's played all about the place. The same said for Fabio Vieira. And of course, there's different options we could do in midfield, both in terms of if everyone's fit, the personnel we currently have, and in my opinion, the players that we could sign and things like that. I do think you would rob Odegaard probably slightly of goals and assists. Not that, I think there's something to be said in that he can get more assists, but he won't be in and around the opponent's area. But I think where we would lose that, we'd gain greater impetus in the middle of the park, really and truly. I think Odegaard could learn, and if not already, dictate the tempo of games. Obviously, he's fairly press resistant. He can link up play. He can break the lines and things like that. So I think where we'd lose, in my personal opinion, I think we would gain. The only issue I would say is the defensive metrics. Odegaard's not a defender. He's not known for being robust and things. Yes, he presses and he scores quite high in that regard, but he's not that. And neither, Havertz does probably, that's probably the one place Kai Havertz scores higher than him. And that is the dirty work of central midfield. And that's the void that we've left essentially with Granit Xhaka departing the football club. Now, I do think we miss Xhaka. I would have loved for him to have stayed at the club just in this transitional period, becoming now title challengers and trying to get to latter stage stages of competitions, trying to fight for a Premier League trophy again. But I do think because of what we've done with Kai Havertz for 65 million and, you know, Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira, they've shown little elements and bits and pieces, but for one reason or another, no one's been able to put that spot down. You know, as much as I like Granit Xhaka, it's hardly a Petit or Vieira. So I do think he's a good player that we miss, but I do think his importance can't be understated, but maybe he's overestimated, or the void left is overestimated because of the knock-on effect and what we have or haven't done in the transfer market, really and truly. For what it's worth, I would love another central midfielder. I've said it before. I think Declan Rice is the only one we can bet on in terms of consistency, in terms of longevity, whether he's going to play as an organic 6 currently with Partey not being there, or be groomed into an 8, where you've seen in the last few games he's got goals and assists, really and truly. I do think we need to buy a couple of centre mids, you know, and what I mean by that is, yes, you can have the Odegaards, the Smith Rowes, the Fabio Vieiras, the Kai Havertz playing in that 8 role, but pure centre mid options, people that are likely to line up with or take the place of Declan Rice. Hard to say, but I'm painting a picture. People who are likely to line up in that pivot behind where Odegaard plays at this moment. I think we need a central midfielder or two. Now, we all know Thomas Partey is a quality player, but for all his abilities, the best ability you can have is availability, and we're never quite confident with that with Partey, even though, to be fair, I think he was available for 30 plus of the 38 Premier League games last season. And with his contract up in 2025, and with, you know, players that have longer duration on the length of their contract, you're seeing them get new deals or improved deals. Arsenal have probably made a decision in relation to giving Partey a new deal or not. Obviously, Jorginho and El Nene have shown that they can come in and do things and they have a role to play in the club, but those are hardly players that you're going to kind of bet on, in my opinion, over a 38-game period. Every player has weaknesses, but they have evident deficiencies. We'd love Lokonga to really have looked like Yaya Toure, like company liked him to. He is not that. And I've said it before, where you look at our defensive options, we're linked with some defenders, so I think Mikel Arteta wants to improve in that regards. But, you know, with Timber fit, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Benjamin White, Saliba, Kirill, Gabriel, you know, there's some good options there. And I'd extend that to currently David Raya and Aaron Ramsdale when we just say the defensive third of the pitch. Whatever you say about the attackers, and I think I agree with a lot of Arsenal fans, I would love another winger. I would love a striker, but, you know, we've got Eddie Nketiah, Jesus, Trossard, Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, Reece Nelson. It could be better, but there's some good options. I think the central midfield is where there's more questions than answers. As I said, people can play as false 8s, apologies, but can they do it for a consistent period? Declan Rice is the only player we can really bet on in that regards. And where Partey, Jorginho and El Nene are concerned, as you lot know, folks, whether it's age, whether it's profile, whether it's, you know, game demands over a 38-game period, whether it's injuries, whether it's contracts, whether it's the wrong side of 30 and us needing more longevity, I think there's more questions than answers. And, you know, especially because we're moving towards the sort of football club we want, you know, I defo don't want to see a void in central midfield. And, you know, Edu and Mikel Arteta were centre mid, so they probably had this conversation that we're having, people. So it is what it is. We're going to have to see if we can bring someone in January or the summer. For me personally, I've said it before, I personally would love a striker for all the Ivan Toney links or Pedro Neto where the wide man is concerned. And if we can get these top players or get people that fill in them roles on the cheap or lesser known profiles, I'm all for that. I think, you know, we're going to live or die by midfield. It's a midfield battle week in, week out. And we've shown we can do things, but I think we need to sign a central midfielder in January. I actually think that's the priority. Had everybody have stayed fit, I might be saying something else, but we need to get this central midfield right. Where Odegaard's concerned, as I said, I don't think he is a like for Santi Cazorla, but I think he can do that Santi Cazorla role, which was the inspiration around this video. Let me know your thoughts on how you feel Arsenal's central midfield is looking. Our options, do we need a central midfielder? Do you believe it's the priority? Everything covered. Obviously, Martin Odegaard's form since the international break has deserted him. What is your thoughts on that? Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Every like and all of these things helps the engagement and it helps the DG Nation grow. New month, new blessings. You know, I hope this month brings you everything you want, people. With it being towards the end of the year, please go after your goals and let's have a year to remember in what's left of it. Stay blessed, stay safe, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, share. Appreciative of you lot tuned in.
Because you always use that active red light defending. I think it's like Tanza!